Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 1. And it might be episode 1 and done, or it might be fun. It's the Honest Resistance Q&A. Now, a few days ago, I put up the video where I asked for questions for this Q&A, and today we answer them. Now, as a side note, this isn't going to be me deliberately saying controversial things to be a dickhead and to cause drama. At the end of the day, Resistance is dead. Most of the top players don't play anymore. I don't play the game anymore. So let's just take some questions and answer them honestly, because, we're not now in the days where we have to pretend our opinions on some things are what they are so that you don't cause drama, because at the end of the day, it shouldn't matter anymore. So if you wonder or worry that I might say something that makes you unhappy, then please just do not watch the video, because at the end of the day, my opinion means fuck all. Who cares if I say something that you don't like? It doesn't matter. But at the same time, it makes an interesting video, and some people will want to hear my honest opinions, because it's more interesting than me just saying, oh yeah, that person was okay. Not the best, but they did things decently. No, we'll just be upfront about it, because as I say, the game's over. Let's just have a bit of interesting conversation about it. Anyway, without further ado, question 1, and we start off pretty bluntly. Tacitus Kilgore asks who the worst survivor I have ever played with is. I have 2. One is Val, my gal. She was a Valerie main, unsurprisingly. She also played Becca, and she wasn't good with either. She routinely got farmed, bitten, killed, did the wrong things at the wrong time. She just wasn't good at the game. And she also complained a lot, so that wasn't nice. And then we have the very worst one, Lee Kwon Do. Now, it's easy for me to cop out here and just say babies, but I want to say people who have played enough games to play better. And Lee Kwon Do falls into that category. He was a rank 600 plus Jan, he might have even got higher. And he routinely stole Jan off of better players while running an Arsenal and Lockdown build. He wasn't good at the game, he'd always complain when we lost, and he'd normally be the reason why we lost. So, yeah, Lee Kwon Do, definitely the worst survivor I've played with who has played a decent number of matches. So, yeah. Question 2, Harry J. Potter 2007 asks, are the NMs OP? And he also tells me to answer correctly. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to answer incorrectly for you, in your opinion, probably, because the Masterminds are not overpowered. I won't stay on this topic long, it's not that interesting, but most people know that most maps aren't Mastermind-sided. There's a couple that are a bit more balanced. Uptown's okay, and Amusement Park is obviously Mastermind-sided with meta build. But in general, most of the maps favour survivors, and just the general makeup of the game favours survivors. There's 4 of them. If all 4 play well, it's harder for them to lose than if an individual Mastermind plays well. So, yeah, survivors are stronger. Question 3, and it's a juicy one. We're on 4 minutes right now. We'll be on about 40 by the end of this question. Tacitus Kilgore asks me to rank these SAM players in order and list their biggest weaknesses. So we have Pep and Keck, Dark X Toxicity, M Western 4, and Mouse Evil. Now, I did say I'd be honest, and I will, especially for a question like this. So, bottom, and by quite a distance it is Mouse. Just for him, he makes too many mistakes. At the end of the day, when you see a 999 Sam that still breaks his sledgehammer and doesn't have enough repair kits against defense and nets, a high rank Sam that still Raidens things when he's blue herbed up against Infection Alex's, a high rank Sam that pushes the terminals at wrong times and gets farmed easily against gun builds, a high rank Sam that goes from blind spot to blind spot and just stands there when the Mastermind's attacking someone on the other side of the map, and a high rank Sam that attacks biocores when he's on 1 HP and then gets killed by a bioweapon when he's attacking the core, then yeah, there's just too many weak points there. And in comparison to the other three players that Tacitus mentioned, it's just too much. So he is last place, and quite easily. In third place is me. My biggest weakness is that sometimes I try to do too much. I try to kill, when I see a room of 3 creatures, I try to kill all 3 of them with like the same swing of my sledgehammer, and I'll inevitably get backbitten or swiped at by one of them. Whenever I just line them up and was a bit more patient, I'd have more success. As for backbites, they are also my fault. Some of them are bullshit, yes, you can claim that, but the vast majority of them are your own fault. It's me lining up dash punches wrong, it's me opening doors at the wrong time and just getting swiped once and bitten. It's silly mistakes and it loses the team too much time. Apart from that, I do well against Alex's, traps, and infection. I'm not good or the best against defense and nets. Again, I try to take too much responsibility on, inevitably get backbitten or isolated or infected, and then I cough and then get swiped and grabbed again. So, you know, when you're Sam, you can't have that weakness if you want to be the best. And I do have that weakness, so yeah. Wouldn't say there's anything else overly glaring. Against Nikolai's, I occasionally get into trouble, but it's nothing too bad. But yeah, still, it's a comfortable third place. I don't threaten the top 2, but I also don't come close to bottom. In second place, Dark X Toxicity. He is I'd say made the biggest difference in the best team I played in consistently with his Sam. But at the same time, Pep was more consistent of a Sam main, and yeah, just generally was more, accomplished. But it's close between these two. They're the clear top 2 in this 4. Dark's weakness was with Sam that he still pushed ahead far too much at times. He'd get bitten by an imposter preset, or he'd, just get in trouble every so often. His pushing was great. He'd do things that, really push the team on, but there were still occasions where he could put the team into real bad issues at times, and you would need a lot of first aid sprays. Pep, his biggest weakness, to be honest, he didn't really look at the map much, and sometimes he'd get isolated a bit and just be in weird situations, but he is number 1. There isn't much stuff I can think of that's erroneous with him. Like, I'm trying to name weaknesses for everybody, but I'm not just going to make up rubbish if I can't think of anything. So, yeah, that should be the list. And if I think of any more, I'll come back and address it. Next question is from Natty91. She asks, who is the better Becker out of M19J88G and Resultant Mist? Honestly, this isn't even close. Mike isn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but Mist, just for his rank, he should be better. He runs a weird build that isn't... It's fine not running meta builds, but he flat out runs just not a good build. He runs door damage, USB, and every single time the match starts, he'll wait around at the item box, waiting for people to pick up ammo. And then by the time he gets out of the item box, 2 minutes have passed, and he'll say it's bullshit that the team only have a minute left. Like, just help your team out. Mike isn't perfect himself. Again, wastes ammo a lot of the time, shooting one zombie, torching Ivies when they're on the floor for 10 minutes and not actually doing anything notable. But out of the two, Mike is definitely better. Now, Tacitus Kilgore asks who the best Jan and Jill duo is and why. Well, unfortunately, I am going to be boring here. It is Scooby and Dominic, and it's quite comfortable as well. They are just the best with their aim, the best with their synchronization, and they played the most, so they naturally built up that skill and experience over time. There's other good Jan and Jills, but none of them are close to those two, and I don't have much more to add, so yeah. Next question. Sammy D Drums asks, is Ranger Danger the best all-round MM, or was he the best all-round MM? Yes, I would say so. Thing is with Ranger, he wasn't exceptionally amazing with anybody. Like, I wouldn't say he was above a 7 out of 10 for any Mastermind as such when compared to the top tier. But he also wasn't bad with anybody. Like, he could win matches or put good teams under pressure with every Mastermind. So, yeah, I'd say he's all around the best. There's other good Masterminds who can play one or two Masterminds to a really high degree, but when we're talking all round, competitive with every Mastermind, yeah, Ranger was the best. Next up, Mouse Evil asks, how many times did you leave and come back, including Smurfs? Well, technically I've left once and haven't come back. I did use a Smurf called X Pickle Boy, but that was when I was also playing the game on my main account. If you want to be really technical, I did say to myself that I would leave the game in, when was it? It was late last year, so I said that, I didn't miss Resistance. I had a couple of weeks where I didn't play it. It was a month where I was away, and I said I didn't miss it, and I don't think I'd play it again. I did end up playing it again, quite hardcore actually, too many customs in a row, stuff like that. But yeah, I said I'm done now, and that is the case and will remain the case. So I've only left once, and that's it. Next up, we have Tacitus Kilgore. Do you think you have the most interesting Resistance YouTube? To be honest, it's right up there. I'm trying to think of other ones. Like, I think Aoife does the most interesting videos, yeah. But I think he didn't upload enough. I wasn't particularly interested in Aoife's match videos because I didn't like the filters that were over them, but his interviews and like the 811 challenge and stuff like that, they were definitely the best individual videos, yeah. But I think my channel is probably the most well-rounded with the best upload schedule. So, sometimes I'll upload memes, sometimes I'll upload good matches, short matches, long clips, short clips, and not just, match, like a lot of people do. And that's fine. Their YouTube is what they want to do with it. But a lot of Resistance content creators, they could have been a bit more experimental with what they did. So yeah, I'd say, unless I'm forgetting someone, that I probably do have one of, if not the most interesting Resistance YouTube. And Aoife with the single most interesting video ideas. Mouse Evil asks, who played you off Sam and who played you off Jan temporarily? Well, to be honest, most people played me off of Jan at one point who were Jan mains. Even people who I thought weren't as good with Jan would still take her off of me because, they were Jan mains and I could play other characters, so I just, swallowed that and went ahead with it at times. Like, for example, I don't know, when I'd be in teams with somebody like Wraith, for example, it's a random name, but somebody who only plays Jan, like him or Stitchy or whoever else who were good Jans, but who I was better than, but that you have to play another character because if not, they're going to be on Val or somebody. So, yeah. But a lot of Jan mains picked her ahead of me. Symphonic Phantom's another one. He was flat out a bad Jan, but would always pick her when I was there. So, yeah. You just had to swallow your pride back then and move on with it. But a lot of people did it. And then for the question of who played you off Sam, most of the time it was yourself, Mouse. Times when you, me, Tortoise and Kara played together, I was on USB Tyrone or Val, same with Tortoise, we'd interchange that role, and then you and Kara were on Jan and Sam all the time. And although that team was really good, there were times where we were having a bad spell and me and Tortoise should have absolutely been playing the roles of those two characters that you and Kara played, and we would have had better results, I think. So yeah. Next question from Sammy D Drums. Should a bottle of Rakia be Daniel's Area 3 card? It would be an interesting niche choice. I don't think it would translate very well, but I'd understand the reference. Nobody else listening to this will. I play drunk against, what do you call it? What's that? Remote Shell. Yeah, there we go. God, I've butchered the joke. Yeah, I play drunk against remote shells anyway, so that's basically a bottle of Rakia to me anyway, so yeah. Next up is Jesse Plays TV, who says, how do I get good at playing Jan? So, to be honest, most people who aren't top tier with Jan, they always focus on the active camera and never plan ahead. Like, when you're against an Annette, you always want to be prepping either in front or behind you. But, like, if you're going into the final room and there's keys in there, just let your teammates get the keys. You should already be running back, trying to put the Mastermind under pressure so he can only spawn 1 or 2 creatures at most, or ideally nothing. You want to put him under pressure, take out a creature or 2 that hasn't been buffed up yet if you're like against an Annette, and also though don't get farmed. For example, Kara, she was a good jam, but she would often in like the high pressure custom matches prep too far ahead and then get farmed and bitten by creatures. So yeah. But at the end of the day, back to the main point, most Jans who are good but not great, they're just a little bit too reactive rather than proactive. So yeah, a little bit more thought and planning ahead. Obviously your aim has to be really good as well, but that's not something I can really give advice for, so yeah. Next up, ex nihilo nihilum. What do you think about traps and backbites? I hate them, but to be honest, most of the time the backbites are my fault anyway. Traps I'm fine with Samuel, but everyone else, it's just me looking at the cameras, so I'm a bit of an idiot. And that's your lot. Next up is Tacitus Kilgore, who asks if I think I'm being cute with my video titles. Honestly, yes, I do. I think I'm being very cute, and that's not me being sarcastic. Most people upload videos with pretty bland titles, like Resident Evil Resistance versus High Rank Nikolai. It's like, cool. I've seen this video 400 times. There's a couple of people who have good creative titles. Dominic does, Jared does, but the vast majority are just pretty bland and dry. So yeah, I think I'm being cute with my titles. Some of them are fucking awful and cringy. Some of them are really clever and funny. So yeah, I'm cute with my titles. What can I say? And Sammy D Drums asks, did Duckman actually lose to a three-man team consisting of you, Brandon, and an 8-year-old kid?
Lockdown.
Yes, you did, and it was a 3-year-old kid, actually. And
little shit.
ooh, is there one more to go?
Classic one.
Yes, Tacitus Kilgore again. Who would I rather marry, Jan or Valerie?
Averted.
So, if I was going to go based on my preference in terms of looks, it would be Jan. If I was going in terms of loyalty and potential for a long-term future, I don't know why I'm considering this. I'm cringing just saying it out loud. I feel like, oh god, Beast God, someone like that. But yeah, I think Valerie would be the more, cringe me for saying this, but wifey material. Jan, you know, you'd have your fun with, you'd hang out a bit, but it would be intense and then just burn out, and that would be that. With Valerie, you know, you could get away with a bit more, you'd be, you know, in it for the long haul, I'd guess. So, yeah, there's my hypothetical dating resistance character's advice. And then Tacitus Kilgore asks, what is the worst popular Jan and Jill duo and why? So this is a particularly awkward one to answer because most Jan and Jill duos as such are very limited. Like, I'm not saying Jan and Jill duos are bad. I'm saying that there isn't that many. So you obviously have Scooby and Dom, you have like Yo Girl and Wolfsteck. And then me and Kara played a lot and stuff like that. But if I had to like group up Jan and Jill's, who I just think are overrated and not that great in comparison, Like, let's say two who played together. They sometimes alternated with who they used, and it's like a mixture of three of them: Darkness OG, Firebird Fred, and Raccoon City. They all played Jill. Darkness played Jan as well, and quite honestly, all three of them had positives, but they all had really big weaknesses that were exploitable. Darkness was the best player of the three. Raccoon was remarkably okay, and Firebird Fred was just flat out poor. So yeah, if I'm going for the worst popular Jan and Jill duo, like outright though, I guess it's Wolfsteck and Yo Girl, but that's because I can't remember any more Jan and Jill duos, so if I think of any, I'll say them. But otherwise, like, I'd improvise and say that a combination of Wraith on Jan and this Secret Ninja on Jill would be seen as really powerful, but I wouldn't think it's amazing. So, yeah. But otherwise, the three I mentioned, Darkness, Raccoon, and Firebird Fred, they're like the main ones who will have flaws when they're playing with a Jan. So, yeah. Anyway, I believe we are done here. There's a couple of questions I've left over, either for a part 2 or because I didn't really know what to say to them. You know, they weren't really questions I could answer honestly, and they were just like filler questions. This video was long anyway, so I had to leave a couple out. But yeah, hope you enjoyed listening to it, and importantly, I will do a part 2 if there's enough questions to go again. So thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to the honesty, and I hope you have a remarkably average day. Take care.